Ladies and gentlemen, the Black Ops 6 and Warzone Season 2 update patch notes are officially here, and I'm telling you guys, this is either gonna make or break Call of Duty. This season update is either gonna save Black Ops 6 or is gonna push it further down to the bottom with no redemption in sight. This Season 2 update has to be it. So the blog post starts out by going over everything that will be coming in Season 2 update, which of course I've already made a video about that. If you want to know everything coming to Season 2, make sure to watch that video after watching this video, of course. But if we move on to the global side of things, first of all, we have none other than the Ricochet anti-cheat, and once again they have to fix the hacking and the cheating problem right now, right here in Season 2. Otherwise, like I said, unfortunately I just don't see a way out for Black Ops 6 if they don't fix it. But they go and say we are ramping up our fight against cheaters across both multiplayer and Warzone with new security measures deploying throughout the common seasons. Updates include enhanced detection models for behaviors like aimbotting, stricter account trust and hardware identification to target repeat offenders, and new tools to combat dishonest behavior such as playing with cheaters or attempting to spam report innocent players, which of course was a problem. Cheaters can simply spam report 100 times at once, okay? 100 times at once, which was absolutely ridiculous. We are also focusing on more precise tools, including major upgrades to the kernel level anti-cheat driver and server-side systems starting this season and continuing into Season 3. Okay, everything that I just read sounds amazing, but you know what would be even more amazing is if these actions actually take place. There's no point saying we're gonna do that, we're gonna do this, we've improved Ricochet anti-cheat system if the problem still persists. Ricochet anti-cheat system has to be improved, has to be made one of the best anti-cheat systems. I mean, we are talking about one of the biggest games in the world, Call of Duty, and the fact that it does not have a proper working anti-cheat system is really disappointing. But like I said, Season 2 has to be it. They have to improve Ricochet anti-cheat system and actually do what they're saying, not just say it but actually do it. But of course we'll have to wait and see, and we don't have long left before Season 2 officially launches in about 12 or so hours by the time you're watching this video. We move on to some progression and prestige issues that they fixed. First of all, they've addressed an issue that was causing the congratulations you've mastered prestige screen to appear after every match for some prestige master players. Addressed an issue that would occasionally occur after quick resume in Black Ops 6 that would incorrectly display all other players as level 1 with default customizations. Players who reached max level will now see a reminder that they have a prestige available after each match. Players who've reached max level will now see a prestige available treatment on the prestige title in the barracks progression menu. Prestige master ribbon will now display in the player details when inspecting a player from lobby. Players can now tap between individual prestiges when viewing an individual prestige rewards via the prestige screen. And finally, the player's current prestige master ribbon and icon milestone will now be highlighted by default whenever they enter the prestige master screen. Another big change that is coming in Season 2 is the fact that we can actually now equip our special camos as soon as we've unlocked only 5 military camos on a certain weapon. As you guys know, currently you can't equip the special camos on weapons unless you complete all camos on that certain weapon, but with this update that will no longer be the case, and you can start equipping any previously unlocked special camos on any weapon only after unlocking 5 military camos. Not gonna lie to you guys, that is definitely a good change, because now we can actually start using our special camos that we've worked hard to unlock on any weapon that we want, and that is amazing. Okay, so that will do it for the global patch notes. Now let's move on and talk about the multiplayer specific patch notes. Let's see what will be fixed in multiplayer. First of all, we have weapons and weapon balancing and all that. I'm very excited for this. First of all, they've addressed an issue where akimbo attachments did not properly display pros and cons. And finally, they've addressed an animation pop when using certain muzzle attachments with a GS45 pistol. Moving on from that, we have an update to all weapons in Black Ops 6. First of all, we have the weapon motion reduction from the dexterity perk improved from 60% to 70%. Weapon raise animations that play on respawn are now fully interruptible, and finally reduced bullet penetration on all surface types. Now let's move on to the magazine attachment updates, and again this affects all weapons. First of all, we have fast mag 1, 2 and 3 and flip mag reload times improved by 10% on all weapon classes but the pistols. Fast mag 1 and 2 reload times improved by 5% on pistols. All LMG weapons with 50 rounds or less have had reload times improved by 5%. The ASVAL assault rifle default magazine reload times improved by 10%. And finally, they've addressed an issue with the SWOT 5.56 fast mag 1. It will now improve reload times as intended. Okay, if I'm being honest with you guys, these are definitely some good changes. They've improved all the reload times for pretty much all the weapons. That is definitely good. Moving on from that, they've also updated the magazine attachments ammo add times. For the C9 extended mag 1, it went from 1.933 seconds to 2.267 seconds. For the Model L extended mag 2, it went from 2.133 2.33 seconds to 2.433 seconds. For the GPMG7 extended mag 2 went from 5.2 seconds to 5.6 seconds. For the same weapon but the extended mag 3, it went from 5.7 seconds to 6.07 seconds. Again for the same weapon but extended mag 4, it went from 6.13 seconds to 6.47 seconds. And finally for the SVD sniper extended mag 2, it went from 2.63 seconds to 3 seconds. Moving on to the melee, they removed screen flash from taking frontal bullet damage while holding a melee. And with that being said, now let's move on to the specific weapon updates. First of all, we have the Goblin MK2 assault rifle, the worst weapon in Black Ops 6 by far, okay? I've never seen anybody that actually likes this weapon. It is so terrible, it's not even funny. Starting with season 2, they have buffed the Goblin MK2. The aiming down sight time has been improved from 245 milliseconds to 240 milliseconds. All hipfire spread angles improved by 0.5 degrees. Sprint to fire speed improved from 175 millisecond to 170 millisecond. Tactical sprint to fire speed improved from 285 milliseconds to 280 milliseconds. And finally, flinch caused by this weapon has been increased. Again, these are some definitely good changes. Is it enough of a buff to make it a good and usable weapon? I'm not sure, we'll have to wait and find out with season 2. Following that, we have the SMGs, specifically the Combat 92 3-round burst mod. The view kick strength has been reduced. Okay, very interesting. Moving on from that, we have the shotguns. First of all, we have the Marine SP shotgun. Sprint to fire speed improved from 210 milliseconds to 200 milliseconds. Tactical sprint to fire speed improved from 320 milliseconds to 310 milliseconds. Now I'm not gonna lie to you guys, the shotguns in this game are pretty good. So with this buff to the Marine SP, I think it's gonna make it just more annoying and more overpowered. Moving on from that, we have the ASG 89 shotgun and has also been buffed. The sprint to fire speed improved from 205 milliseconds to 195 milliseconds. And finally, tactical sprint to fire speed improved from 315 milliseconds to 305 milliseconds. And finally, for shotguns, we have the Maelstrom shotgun. The fire rate improved from 300 RPM to 316 RPM. The sprint to fire speed improved from 200 milliseconds to 190 milliseconds. And finally, tactical sprint to fire speed improved from 310 milliseconds to 300 milliseconds. Again, all of these 3 shotguns have been buffed, and man, oh man, not gonna lie to you guys, I'm already scared, okay? I'm already scared because the shotguns are overpowered, and with this season 2 buff, it's gonna make it more overpowered. But following that, we have the LMGs, specifically the PU-21. This LMG has also been buffed. The pre-fire delay improved from 55 milliseconds to 20 milliseconds. Sprint to fire speed improved from 245 milliseconds to 240 milliseconds. Tactical sprint to fire speed improved from 335 milliseconds to 330 milliseconds. And finally, the view kick deviation slightly reduced. Moving on from that, we have the marksman rifles, the DM10, specifically the gain twist barrel attachment. Bullet velocity improvement increased from 25% to 45%. Moving on from that, we have the sniper rifles. First of all, for the LW3A Frostline, the upper torso and upper arm damage modifier decreased from 1.1 to 1, and finally lower torso and lower arm damage modifiers increased from 0.9 to 0.98. And for the quick draw rear grip attachment, aim down sight speed bonus reduced from 70 milliseconds to 60 milliseconds. And finally, for the CHF barrel attachment, now improves upper torso and upper arm damage modifier to 1.03, and it will also now improve hand and upper leg damage modifiers to 0.98. We move on to the LR 7.62. Hand and upper leg damage modifiers increased from 0.9 to 0.99. For the quick draw rear grip attachment, aim down sight speed bonus reduced from 80 milliseconds to 65 milliseconds. And for the CHF barrel attachment, now improves upper torso damage modifier to 2. Also now improves lower torso and lower arm damage modifiers to 1.02. Also improves hand damage modifier to 1. And finally, it will also improve lower leg damage modifier to 0.99. And finally, for the AMR mod for the quick draw rear grip attachment, aim down sight speed reduced from 80 milliseconds to 65 milliseconds. That will do for the snipers. Now let's move on to the pistols, specifically the Strider 22. Bullet penetration improved to match the other pistols. Okay, so has been buffed. Next up, you have the special weapons, aka the SAR 9mm. First of all, for the extended magazine 1 attachment, extended mag 1 now increase sprint to fire time by 10 milliseconds, and it will also increase aiming down sight in time by 20 milliseconds. And for the fast mag 1, now improves sprint to fire time by 10 milliseconds, and also improves aiming down sight in time by 20 milliseconds. And finally, when it comes to weapons, we have the launchers. For the Sigma 2B, aiming down sight in time improved from 400 milliseconds to 325 milliseconds. Weapon swap race time improved from 1000 milliseconds to 800 milliseconds. Fast hand race time improved from 750 milliseconds to 550 milliseconds. Weapon swap raise interrupt time improved from 750 milliseconds to 250 milliseconds. Fast hands raise interrupt time improved from 500 milliseconds to 100 milliseconds. Weapon swap drop time improved from 600 milliseconds to 450 milliseconds. And finally, for the Sigma 2B, fast hands drop time improved from 300 milliseconds to 200 milliseconds. And finally, for the HE1 launcher, aiming down sight in time improved from 400 milliseconds to 325 milliseconds. Weapon swap race time improved from 1000 milliseconds to 800 milliseconds. Fast hand race time improved from 750 milliseconds to 550 milliseconds. Weapon swap raise interrupt time improved from 750 milliseconds to 250 milliseconds. Fast hand raise interrupt time improved from 500 milliseconds to 100 milliseconds. Weapon swap drop time improved from 600 milliseconds to 450 milliseconds. And finally, fast hand drop time improved from 300 milliseconds to 200 milliseconds. Moving on from that, they've also fixed some issues with the HUD. They've addressed an issue that would occasionally incorrectly display the field upgrade ready state after respawning. And finally, they've addressed an issue where player names would not display beside the speaker icon when speaking in a match. Following that, they've also addressed an issue that was preventing the end of game match bonus XP payout when playing search and destroy. That will be no longer the case. That's fixed and that is definitely good. Next up, we have the challenges, specifically the score streak destruction challenge. They've addressed an issue that was not awarding challenge progress towards score streak destructions in cases where players did not perform the final blow on the destroyed enemy score streak. In season 2, that will no longer be the case. Even if you just managed to get one bullet into the air score streak, or if you managed to hit it with just one rocket of your launcher, it will actually count towards the camo progress, and that is definitely much needed change. If you guys seen my video where I unlocked the diamond launchers, you saw how annoying that was. It would only count if you were the final one to do the final blow to the score streak. That is no longer the case in season 2. So if you're going for the launchers, it will definitely make it less ragey and less annoying. So like I said, that is definitely good change. Moving on from that, we have some calling card challenges. Not only they fixed some tracking issues with some calling cards, they've also reduced some requirements for calling cards. So pretty much they made getting the calling cards a bit easier. Some of the calling card challenge wording was a bit weird and we simply didn't understand exactly what we had to do. That has all been fixed now. In season 2, completing those calling card challenges and trying to get that 100% has been made a tiny bit easier. Following on from that, they've reduced some requirements for the daily challenges and they've also completely removed some of the daily challenges from the game. Now I'm not going to go through everything here because it would take us like 3 hours. I'm only going through the most important things. If you guys want to see it for yourself and read every single bit of detail, I will have a link in the description down below. But moving on from that, we have the spawns. Again, another important issue in every Call of Duty game that ever launches. Spawn logic has been adjusted to continue our efforts to reduce proximity to enemies when respawning. And finally, they've also added the ability to conduct live A/B testing with spawn changes to evaluate on a smaller scale. And if results are positive, we will roll those changes out globally. This will allow us to be more agile with spawn changes. Again, any spawn changes are always amazing because like I said, spawns are always an issue in every Call of Duty. No matter how many seasons, no matter how many months you are into a game's life cycle, spawns always continue to be an issue, and every time they fix it, that is always amazing. And finally, to finish off with the multiplayer side of things, we have one very important movement change: reduced collision with teammates. Man, oh man, you don't understand how happy I am that they finally fixed the teammate collisions. It is super annoying. The amount of times I've been pushed into the enemy's line of sight by my teammates that result in me getting killed, or the amount of times that I'm trying to take cover from an enemy but my teammate is right there, and because of the teammate collision, it doesn't allow me to take cover and I get killed by the enemy. If I'm being honest with you guys, I believe they should completely take out the teammate collision. It is unnecessary. There is no point to it in the game. They should just completely remove it, but it looks like that won't be happening, but it's fine. As long as they reduce it to the point where it's not as annoying as it is currently, then I am fine with that. And like I said, that would do it for multiplayer. Now let's move on and talk about zombies. When it comes to zombies, first of all, they have fixed many of the issues that are present in the maps, specifically Citadel des Morts. They have fixed over 20 known issues in Citadel des Morts, and many of them are major updates, so that is always amazing. Like I said, I'm not going to go through all of them because there's way too many, but if you guys want to see it, link in the description down below. Alongside Citadel des Morts, Terminus Island and Liberty Falls known issues have also been addressed and fixed. Again, that is super amazing. When it comes to the amazing directed mode, they've addressed an issue where the crafting table menu could remain open when dying at round cap. Automatic exfil will now begin after the current round ends instead of immediately. And finally, automatic exfil has been adjusted to trigger after 6 hours instead of 5 hours. Alongside all of that, in season 2, players who are kicked for inactivity in a co-op game will have their loadout, essence and salvage restored upon rejoining the match. That is definitely good. Next up, we have the weapons, and they've addressed an issue where single fire mode would not count towards slaughter medals. They've added a warning for players when purchasing a wall buy if it will replace one of their current weapons. That's definitely a good change. And finally, they've addressed an issue where interacting with quest objects with long hold times would reload the held weapon when using a controller. We move on to the perks, specifically the Ether Shroud, adjusted the Ether Dash augment to prevent players from being stuck in unintended locations. And finally, also for the PhD flopper, they've improved the PhD slider to work with omnidirectional slides. We move on to the field upgrades, the Tesla Storm. They've addressed an issue where kills from the static discharge would not award essence to the player. We move on to the score streaks. We have the Chopper Gunner. They've addressed an issue where the player could continue to shoot the Chopper Gunner weapon after the streak has ended. recommended. And finally for the hand cannon, they've adjusted an issue where attempting to pick up an ether tool while wielding a hand cannon would consume the ether tool without applying it to a weapon. We move on to the enemies. The amalgam addressed an issue where rarely the player would let go immediately after being grabbed. And finally for the vermin, the much awaited change is finally here. They've addressed an issue where vermin could hit twice with one attack. As you guys know, if you played zombies, the vermin double attack was absolutely ruining every zombies match. Thankfully that has been fixed now with season 2. And finally the vermin will now ragdoll properly in the air when killed mid-leap. Next up we have the gobblegums. They've addressed an issue where restocked gobblegums would not be immediately available for use, addressed an issue where the exit strategy gobblegum would not be usable when the exfil radio was present, and finally they've addressed an exploit that allowed players to keep timer based gobblegums after they have been consumed. And to finish off with this massive season 2 update patch notes, we have the graphics. They've adjusted an issue in third person where elemental sword effects would be misaligned when attacking. They've also adjusted an issue with the Solace Elemental sword where the visual effects of the charge ability would play longer than the actual effect. Addressed an issue where the glow effects from the crown would persist after dying and respawning. Addressed a typo on the soda cans inside the stamina machine. And finally they have removed the fire effects from vermin legs when the Arcanophobia mode is toggled. Okay, there it goes. That's pretty much everything that is coming in the season 2 update. These were the patch notes, every weapon that was buffed and nerfed, every known issue and bugs that are again improved and fixed. And of course the promise of actually fixing the game and the hacker problem and the chin problem and all that with Black Ops 6 and Warzone. And like I said earlier in the video, this season 2 update is gonna make or break Call of Duty. It's either gonna save Black Ops 6 and Warzone, or simply the decline of Black Ops 6 and Warzone is gonna continue and it's gonna hit to new lows, which is of course that's not what we want to see, because we all love Call of Duty. Call of Duty was our childhood and we all want to just see it do better and better and better every year. But yeah, like I said, season 2 is very important. They have to get this right. They have to fix everything, otherwise the damage would be irreparable. But of course we'll just have to wait and see, and the good thing is we don't have long left to go. Season 2 is almost upon us. I'm very excited. I cannot wait. But what do you guys think about all of this? Is season 2 gonna save Call of Duty or not? Make sure to tell me in the comment section down below. But with all that being said, make sure to click the video on the screen now to know everything that'll be coming in season 2 of Black Ops 6. Thank you guys for watching this video.